On today's episode, we are talking about opportunity, success, how we define it, and pathways to it. Today's guest, Dr. Rose Moten from In Full Bloom, gives us an in-depth interview on how she defines success and how we should look at it as an intangible thing. We also are joined by affirmation artist Toni Jones, who came on the set and just completely lightened the load with the soothing sounds of her voice. Join us now for this episode of EVRY Woman.
Queens over here, and make no mistake in big things over here. Goddess in the flesh, you can tell by the smell of it. Every time I step in the room, it's an elephant. Woman.
Hey, we back. I'm your girl Tam, aka I Rock It Bald, and this is the EVRY Woman cast. Welcome back.
Hello.
How y'all doing today?
Hello. Doing good.
Good. So listen, ladies, I got a question for y'all.
What? Wow, really? I just said not mad.
What did you think she said?
You said I'm mad.
She said not mad. Oh, okay. Man. So if she was mad, that was going to be a whole new conversation.
Was a whole new conversation.
Well, Alicia loved me. Thank you.
We was going to have therapy right on air today, right here, right now. But instead, I got to ask y'all a very, very serious question. Bra or no bra? Because listen.
Oh, my God. That is the question.
This is it let me tell you
outside or?
Yes. And yes. The answer is yes to all those questions.
Okay.
Because let me tell y'all something. So I was out this weekend and I felt a little judgy. So my bad, sis. I didn't mean to be judgy, but her boobs was as big as mine, if not bigger. And she had on no bra. She had on this really cute shirt, and it did some peekaboo strappy thingies, and it was a sweater. It was like a dressy type shirt. And I'm pretty sure sis didn't have on no bra because you could see through in certain places. And I was like, dang, that take a lot of confidence. And so I whispered it to a girl that I know, and she was like, I ain't got on no bra either. I said, what? Is this a new phenomenon to be out in public with no bra? So I just don't feel comfortable being out with J-Ville and letting everybody I mean, just on a normal day. Vacation, maybe. But just out on a Friday night, at the crib chilling, yeah. But what say you? What say you? Bra or no bra in public? Are we going braless this summer? Is it a bra-free summer?
I'd say it depends on the outfit. Some outfits you absolutely cannot have a bra for.
Right.
But I would prefer to keep a bra because I have no boobies. And so I like the appearance of making it look like I have boobies. And it just fills out outfits better. So the Victoria's Secret 2 sizes bigger bra, I have to have that in every single color, and I have to wear it every day.
And I get that. And I'm a little jealous of y'all,
itty bitty
titty committee.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, there's no way I'm going without my bra. I wish I could go without my bra. And when I get these puppies redone, I probably will go without a bra.
Okay, because
but
me too.
until then,
me too.
I've got to keep them lifted to the sky as much as I can. And it takes a little...
Your hands to the sky.
That's right.
I ain't mad at that.
right.
I'm not mad at
The
that.
5 heartbeats.
Plus, Sabrina, I'm going to say this. My boobs are going through a bit of an identity crisis. I don't quite know exactly what's going on here. They're full of milk, and then they're not, and then sometimes they're really big and painful. Whether I wear a bra or not depends pretty much if they're leaking or not, or how much, like, if there's a baby crying and my boobs want to cry. I don't know. Me and my breasts are being reacquainted, much like the rest of my body. So, I mean, Brina in her 20s was all about that no bra life with the right outfit because Brina's boobies was always up like, now we, I don't know what's going to happen to me. Y'all pray.
So, and the reason I bring this question up is because you mentioned Victoria's Secret, and they're just advertising this bra for many different versions of outfits, and I'm like, I'm a little jealous because they don't have nothing that fits me there. And then I saw this girl on the internet do this thing with the tape, and her boobs were definitely bigger than mine. And sis, she taped them things up so good. I was like, with 3 pieces, that's it.
I'm scared of the
I'm a little
tape.
jealous. So I'm just trying to get my summer life together.
But what if she
it
just
hurts.
sweaty?
Okay.
No, it was like boob tape.
Yeah, but I heard it
I tried
hurts.
that boob tape and it didn't work for me. I started using it for other stuff, but I did try it.
Yeah. I'm very conscious of the
Unfortunately,
outfit.
I can't tell, but I use it for other stuff.
She said she used it for other stuff, but she can't tell us. Okay, moving on.
Not the world.
Yeah, I'm very
Not
conscious
today.
of the outfit when it comes to the bra. But if I have to, it'll usually be like pajamas or loungewear if I'm out without a bra. But most times I got to have one on.
I'm gonna just say I was very daring in my jersey t-shirt dress in the resort with my J-Vills out and no bra. I said, whatever, y'all getting it all today.
Oh.
Cause the other thing too is I don't like my bra pieces showing. Like I don't want my strap showing. I don't want my back showing. I don't want none of that showing. So
Okay, you remember when we said no question is a stupid question?
yes, and we meant
I
it.
have to be the one to ask, what's a J-Ville?
That's
Oh, see.
hello, meet J-Ville.
Oh, that's why I don't know. Okay.
I feel like it's because he wears
Yes,
size J.
J-Ville. Okay.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
once upon a time they were H-Town. These are nicknames that
Yeah, I have no. I would have never even known.
Yeah.
I've never seen
Okay.
anything past
Dang, girl.
Yeah, they
B,
got
B
big
plus or C minus.
Sabrina like, whoa.
I know most people don't know past double D, but yes, there's something
Yeah.
that goes way past
I had
double
no-
D.
Okay.
It keeps going.
I got another question for you because we're going to be talking about success and everything on today's episode. How do you define this? How do you define success? Typically, I think people gauge their success in comparison to others' success, and I think that's a huge mistake. That honestly, we could all be very guilty of making at times. But when you sit down and think about what success looks like in your life, in your relationships, with your children, with your family members, how do you define success?
I think for me, success is like living your life on your terms. And also like being happy where you are, right? So if you are working in the field that you always wanted to work in, or you're with your passions and things like that, as long as you're happy doing that, as long as you're happy, your family, you know what I'm saying, happy. For me, that's success. It's not what somebody else thinks about you or what other opinions are about you. It's what you deem as happy for you.
I like that. I like the very first thing you said about that.
Yeah.
Just being
Just living it on your terms.
living on your terms.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love that. What about you?
Growth. When I see growth, I feel successful. You know, because every stage in life, you're going through a different thing. And so when you know that you've grown from that last thing that you've been through, you know, like I've been through some serious things in life. And so sometimes you can get stuck there. So to not get stuck, to grow from that and to be able to ready to move on and to still be happy and to understand what I've been through, I like growth. So to me, that's a big part of it right there. To know that I grew from what I've been through and on to the next thing. So, and being happy during it,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
So
As I always
happiness
say,
is important.
It's the inside job.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, girl. Be quiet.
Success is something I'm still constantly defining, based on the fact that sometimes you think you know, but you have no idea, right? You meet a goal, and that goal just is not as gratifying as you thought it would be, or you go for something and one way or the other, a relationship even, it's like during that moment of being in a relationship, you might be dealing with something that you wouldn't normally deal with, or you might be just in a really, really good place with it and think, oh, this is what this is supposed to feel like, and I'm toughing out the tough times, but then if it ends, it's like, I'm a failure. That you just have to constantly, in my opinion, define success based on where you are in your life, and knowing that at the beginning of the day, you wake up and you should feel like today is a new day and anything is possible. There was a basketball player that was upset about a reporter saying, "Do you feel like this season was a failure?" And he was like, he had me cracking up. He wiped his face. He says, Michael Jordan had, he played 15 years. He had 9 championships. Were all the other seasons failures, or like, how does that look? When you go home, do you get a promotion every single year? No, you can't look at sports as failure or success. Just what have you done to grow?
That's all tying in.
Yeah. For me, I think success is measured by how many people I can help become successful. I feel like you've made it when people see you and they want to know, excuse me, how did you do that? Help me. And when you can help somebody else, it's like that that's a certain level, an indicator of success. I think that you never actually just stop chasing success, because it's like a constant, like you said, like you reach a goal and now you have another goal. You were successful at that goal, but now what? It's like a constant like flow of goals and achievements. So it's never just like, okay, I'm done, I'm successful. You're going to always have that hunger to, now what do I do now? Now what's next? So it's a constant, checking off that list of things that you wanted. And to me, being a mom is being able to always provide. If my kid was to come to me and say, Mom, can you do this? Like, yes, that is success for me. Like, Mom, can you take me on this trip? Yes. Such and such parents are doing it. I can do that for you too. Like, I think that's success, in my opinion.
Yep. Setting goals and achieving those goals feels like success to me. I call them small victories. If I've set a goal and I've achieved it, or if I've set my sights on something that I want to accomplish and I've done it, then I feel really good about that. If I look back over my life over the last 10 or 15 years, I know a big part of a whole 10 years, 11 year span of my life was to become a homeowner. That was a huge goal for me. And I felt successful when I was able to accomplish that goal, because it took a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and hours on the clock to accomplish what we needed to accomplish in order to make it there. It took a lot of planning. It took a lot of conversations. It took a lot of meetings and getting my finances in order. And so I just feel really successful. So when I pull up to my house every day, I'll be like, we did that. Yep, we did that. I feel successful. And to your point too, when my kid comes to me, or kids no more, but they're my kids, my babies.
Amen.
Come to me and ask for anything, and it's like, no problem. Like, I feel like really good being able to not have to struggle to provide for them. Because there were times when, $20 was kind of a big deal. If the tank was on E and it was Wednesday and payday wasn't until Friday, we was trying to figure out how we gonna, curve these. Like, we ain't going nowhere. We gonna see what's in the freezer, but we gonna thaw out. The struggle was real. So, Sabrina.
Yes. I do have a few pieces of information about last week. We do have a quick peek from last week. So, first and foremost, let's talk about Mr. Jamie Foxx. Our brother Jamie Foxx had a little bit of a medical mishap while filming his new live-action comedy, Back in Action, in Atlanta. The 55-year-old actor unfortunately suffered what seems to be a stroke. That is information that I did not find on TMZ, so I don't know if I all the way trust it. But there's a lot of there's a lot of information out there that's saying that he has recovered and he's okay. But everybody, just health is wealth, as we all know.
That's right.
You can be a very young person and have a stroke. It doesn't matter who you are, what your age is, et cetera, et cetera. So prayers up for Jamie Foxx. Our next topic today, the Red Table Talk. We all know it. We all love it. Except for Chris Rock. So the Red Table Talk has been canceled, along with all the other original shows that Facebook Watch has created. Now, they have canceled all the original shows, but we know that arguably the Red Table Talk is the most popular show on Facebook Watch. Can you guys name any other one show?
No.
That got canceled or created?
No.
Can't.
But they canceled all of them, but Red Table Talk was the very last one that they canceled.
I would imagine that makes sense. And unfortunately, we are no longer going to be able to enjoy Jada and family in those beautiful talks that have brought so much culture and appreciation to our Twitter feeds.
I'm sure they'll find a way to keep it going.
Why they do that?
Yeah, I think she says she's trying to shop it too still. So they don't want it to end.
Right. And Facebook did not achieve the goal they were going for. They did not get the audience and the participation they wanted as far as their original content is concerned. Unfortunately, Facebook is no Hulu as it were.
They're trying to take over the world.
I mean, they shot their shot.
Yeah.
They shot their shot. Okay. Don Lemon, 17 years with CNN. He has been fired, okay? No job security whatsoever. In fact, they did not even give him a heads up. They fired him. His agent let him know. And he basically just didn't go to work and was upset about that. I mean, I could not imagine. There's been a lot of interesting dismissals in the world of journalism as of late. And Don Lemon being the latest with CNN, I guess there's no way to be shocked. It's just kind of is what it is, and it's unfortunate, especially because we form bonds with those who give us information, and we trust those who give us information, and there's a lot of mistrust in the media. So unfortunately, this is adding to it now.
So do you think he's going to go be a house husband now?
I hope so. Go Don. Go Don. Yesterday was the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and Joe Biden decided to go ahead and join the meme wagon. The 80-year-old president decided to use the Dark Brandon meme as a part of his campaign for 2024. You can see it on his website now. Now, if you're not familiar with what Dark Brandon is, it's something I found out about on Reddit. Yes, I'm on Reddit sometimes. And this is pretty much what happened. There was a NASCAR race, and they were chanting, "Let's go, Brandon, let's go, Brandon." And for some reason, kind of like how Dick is also Richard, they thought they were saying F Joe Biden, F Joe Biden. So that became, "Let's go, Brandon" became code word in Republican life for F Joe Biden. There's hats and everything that says "Let's go, Brandon." That's what it means. Oh. So Joe Biden's also known for being a bit scrappy, and he has his clapbacks. Whenever Joe claps back now, they call him Dark Brandon, and they give him glasses. As you can see on the screen behind us, he is pointing his laser eyes with red Republican and blue Democrat, depending on who he's looking at, to basically say he's going to be Dark Brandon, and that's okay. So shout out to Joe Biden for getting with the times.
Okay.
I think it's funny, and I'll probably find a Dark Brandon t-shirt and be wearing it myself.
He looked like a Batman sidekick. Yeah. He looked like
I
Robin.
thought he was the Joker at first.
But he actually at the dinner put on glasses and says, "Well, I don't know if Dark Brandon would appreciate certain things people say."
Ooh.
Something to that.
He's into it.
Yeah. Oh, he's into it.
Oh, he's
Okay.
into it.
He's here. He's here for Dark Brandon, and I am too. So go, Joe, for being Dark Brandon. I'm not going to be political here today. Thank you. All right. So that's our peek from last week.
Next, we're going to talk about being the opportunity versus an opportunist, right? So the dictionary defines, I don't know if it's Webster, Merriam-Webster, who's the Google, defines opportunity as a set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something. That's an opportunity. Would we all agree?
Yes.
Okay. An opportunist is a person who exploits circumstances to gain immediate advantage rather than being guided by consistent principles or plans. So, do you have to be disciplined in every area of your life to be successful? And how does taking advantage of an opportunity versus being an opportunist in that situation play out? Do that make sense? Did that make sense? You want me to repeat the question?
Yeah. That was a lot.
First of all, let's talk about the difference between the opportunity and the opportunist. How do you feel about both?
Okay, I'll say. So, so first of all, from your definition, we know that an opportunist is negative. It's a negative thing, exploiting the opportunity, right? I think opportunities are great. I think an opportunist is definitely highly annoying, especially in the field that I've been in, where it kind of, they think that they're doing the right thing, but everybody around them can kind of see. It's like they don't know that we see. And it looks really tacky.
But are they making waves? Are they being successful by being an opportunist? Like, I think some people have found
to a
some
certain
success
extent
in being an opportunist.
To a certain extent. But if it's not done right, no matter how high you go, you know how people can become famous and then the next thing is infamous. So it's like, yeah, they might get to a certain point, but if you're not doing things that are right and with moral being moral about it, I mean, it might appear on the outside to look like, oh, look, they're doing all this stuff.
So I'm hearing a combination of the two. Like you can still take advantage of an opportunist and be
opportunity.
Yes.
Take advantage.
Yes, you know what I'm trying to say. You can take advantage of an opportunity and be an opportunist in that moment at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Well, I agree because it's just about what the situation is because every situation is different. If you see that there's somebody around and they might can help you with something and you haven't had a chance to ever be around this person and here's your opportunity, you know, you might be an opportunist to go ahead and speak with this person to get the connection or whatever it may be. So I think I've been an opportunity to people, and I've been an opportunist, you know, and opportunist as well. So I think you could be both, just depending on the situation and how it could work for you. And you don't have to be tacky with it, you know. I mean, if you have the even if you've seen a celebrity and here's their chance to take a picture with them, okay, you're being an opportunist, right?
Well, I think that's an opportunity, in my opinion. I don't necessarily think that you're being an opportunist in that regard. But if you're always someone who sees an opportunity to jump on the bandwagon because somebody else is up there, and you're like, oh, let me jump on, you know, friends, family, whatever. Let me jump on and see what I can get out of this. Then yes, that's when you're being an opportunist.
Can someone define exploit?
Exploit.
Can someone define that word?
I don't have my phone because somebody said I can't have my phone.
Because exploit is what
But
the
I should
word
know how
that
to
makes it sound negative.
It does.
Exploiting the
Yeah.
opportunity. There's ways to take opportunities and use them the proper way. When you're saying exploit, that sounds like there's a little bit of something else involved in that.
Exactly. It's very, very negative. Because I've heard people be like, I can't stand the opportunist. And it's very negative.
But it can be a negative and a positive, I think.
I don't think being an opportunist has much positive connotation associated with it. Based upon your definition just now, and I had to actually sit here and kind of like shape some thoughts as to how to respond to that, because I think people can be consistent opportunist, and then instead of them being an opportunist, they're taking advantage of opportunities, especially in the professional sense. As a model, I know a lot of models that, well, at least a few in particular, that will be very eager to reach out to you if they know that you're busy with certain things, but then other times they won't reach out to you or invite you to stuff that they're invited to, you know, and that kind of thing. And to me, that's not even an opportunist at that point. That's a strategist. That's somebody who's deciding to use, you know, the connections and how they are in certain industries, in certain situations. Opportunist will almost like play the back and pop up even after they've done nothing and just decide it's going to be their time to shine. And that's not fair to the people who are processing and digging into the opportunity to make it a beautiful opportunity for all. And then all of a sudden so-and-so shows up and they haven't done anything. That's frustrating. And it's tacky.
Yeah,
It is. All
I
right,
agree.
I think we agree on that. So there are people who, you know, appear to have their whole life together, and then maybe their business situation, work, if they're entrepreneur, whatever, is real messy, and you be like, dang, but you look like you got your life together, but your business is messed up. You constantly getting fired or changing jobs or whatever, and vice versa, right? Their business might be in order, but their life is like jacked up. Do you think that you have to be disciplined in every area of your life in order to have success? I mean, we just had this conversation about defining success, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about life and work, for example, do you have to have discipline in each area in order to be successful?
I heard that saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is, because certain things I am more disciplined at and certain things I'm not. But I don't know if you have to have every area of your life disciplined in order to be successful.
Because there are those people who be like, they task managers on everything. Like this, I do this in my life. I do this at work. I do this at the gym.
Like I read a book by Grant Cardone, Be Obsessed or Be Average. He was failing in his marriage, failing the kids, failing every other area, but his business was on a high.
Okay.
He was obsessed with his business. He did all the work for that. He was into that, but everything else was
didn't
kind
put
of
in the
falling
work.
apart. But he's a billionaire, so I don't know. But his success to him might be money.
Yeah.
But that's why you define what success is for you.
But then does money make him happy? Was he happy?
Who knows?
I mean, you have to look at that aspect too, because he might financially be up there, but over here, stuff is falling apart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because not saying that he had to be disciplined in the areas of his family, but obviously he was not putting in the work over here. He was putting all the work over here.
That's probably what made him happy.
Right. That's
At
what I'm
the end of
saying.
the day, a lot of
Everybody's
people
success is
focus
different.
on what makes them happy. You know, you got people that put all their energy into just the gym, and then they're not putting it wherever else
Elsewhere,
they're supposed to put it.
Yeah,
So,
but if you enter into an agreement with another person, like a marriage is a life contract. I mean, there's some legal papers involved too, but marriage is a life contract, and then you procreate and bring other lives into that. Like you have to dedicate some sort of discipline to that, as well as try and balance the act of being successful in business. Now, I ain't no billionaire, and I'm not 100% sure what it take to get there. I'm gonna learn. I want to. I'm gonna manifest it. But I would imagine that you got to be on all the time. Like there are probably no days off for someone that is running $1 billion company and you are the man or you are the woman. Do y'all disagree?
I think it's a gas pedal. Honestly, I really feel like, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And even if that might not look like even effort on all ends, I find that when for example, I went vegan my last semester of college because I really wanted a 4.0. Now, what does that have to do with veganism?
I was gonna say
Nothing. But what it did for me was gave me a whole nother level of focus that I never actually had before. And that also then transcended into my studies and everything else I was doing. And so it's a gas pedal. It's like pushing on that thing. And sometimes, you got to ramp up. 0 to 100 in 3 seconds is really a Ferrari, and everybody done got a Ferrari. We might be driving a Corsica from '93. We don't know.
my mama had a Corsica.
I had one too. So I know that them things don't really go fast at the beginning. You got to get it going. And then even still, you accelerate to a certain level, you get a better car, whatever the case may be. But it ain't all gas. You got to put the gas back in the car. You got to rest sometimes. And some people just have better energy efficiency than others, I think. And that is the difference between the height of a successful person versus the height of a successful person, period.
Okay. How do you think self-confidence plays into that, though, right? Like, some people may just be destined to be great and billionaires or whatever, but I think we're all destined to be whatever we're going to be. And it's a lot of people who lack self-confidence, I should say, that in the public eye that we're able to see on TV and, in the public view that just lack that self-confidence, and they have to be trained in order to be able to speak, confidently, because they don't naturally have it. So do y'all think that there is a difference? Like, does divinity override confidence? Like, if what's going to be? Or is there a certain level of self-confidence that comes along with this success? I know I said a lot.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, but what if you need to go? If you need that help, if you go get the coaching, if you go get the extra that you need to be better at it. I mean, you probably will go a little further than maybe was expected of you to go. So I don't think there's nothing wrong with going to get coaching or whatever else. And because even if somebody said that you're not going to be nothing, but you are determined to be something, you can make that happen, I think, for yourself.
We kind of talked about that a little bit, and I don't want to go too deep into it because we'll talk about it in the next segment. But that coaching aspect, I believe, is lifelong, right? Because you have to have that continuous coaching, whether it's in studying or you're just reading up on the things that are helping you to grow. That always has to be a thing in order for you to get to the next level.
What's that?
the coaching thing,
Oh, okay.
but to be successful.
Okay.
And I'm piggybacking on what Okila was saying. So with that, you have to. There's always a continuous. So I don't think that the divinity or the self-confidence, I think they can coincide and exist together.
Yeah.
In that realm.
What
And you
about
still grow.
manifesting? Do
I
y'all manifest things to be?
think you
Positive
can.
affirmations, speaking things into your life every day.
You should. And again,
Good energy.
we talked about all of that. It'll all come out in the next segment. But you should always manifest things as to be. We don't know, and this is one thing that I talked about with Dr. Rose, we don't actually know that we're manifesting things because the things that are coming out of your mouth, whatever it is, if it's negative or positive, it's still manifesting. And those are the things that are happening, right? So you have to speak them as though they are so that they can be.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to that question you asked about divinity versus self-confidence. I think everybody has this path laid ahead of them, right? I don't think you could just lay around and just it happens. I do think God helps those who helps themselves. So once he sees you working, he'll meet you halfway. So it's one of those things where you could have this, you see what your future could be, but you need to become this person to get it. I don't think you're just floating through life and then the divine stuff just happens, you trip and then, oh yeah, I'm a millionaire because that's what I was supposed to be. I think you have to be a certain person to be that certain thing, and you have to go through tests, trials, and then once, whatever you want to call it, God or whatever sees you working, it comes in and does the rest and helps.
Yes.
So self-confidence is definitely a part of it because you have to grow to be confident to get to where you need to be.
Right. You got to do the work so that when the opportunity presents itself, you're prepared and ready to take advantage of it.
Right.
Right? Yeah. I mean, and how to think about team sports, because I know you ran track, right?
Yeah.
Where and it can be an individual effort at times, but for the most part, it is a team effort, especially when you compete at the state level and at the collegiate level. Your individual success contributes to the overall team's success. So what's the correlation between, team sports and success? I think I just said it, but from your perspective as an athlete.
That's an interesting question. The correlation between individual success and the success of the greater diaspora, as it were, it's little by little. It's one drop of rain is just a drop, and then you see a whole ocean because there are millions and billions and trillions of drops of water in this big ocean. You can't be a big ocean as just one little drop. You got to keep putting those drops in, and that's what, to me, on a team level, we can't be every woman and we just one woman. We got to be more than just that. We all have to come together. It's just, I think team sports are a really good way to learn that aspect and know that, if you don't hit that game winning shot, you all lost. And it's pressure, but it's also, if we are all together, one sound, one band, we're coming together and working together towards one common goal of success. My power is now blended with Okila's power, now blended with Tan's power, Alicia power, Lauren power, and all our power is sitting right here at this desk. We some powerful people. It's better together. Yeah. It's stronger that way. And I mean, there's just so many different examples. I mean, from teams to freaking lights all beaming in one place, there's so many different ways to look at it.
Yeah. And Lauren, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but is there a best way to plan and stay informed? I mean, we kind of talked about preparing for the opportunity. You can't just sit around and do nothing. In your opinion, what would be the best way to plan for success?
I think in any area that you're going into, whatever your goals are, the biggest thing you can invest in is yourself, personal growth. So at the very least, even if you don't have the knowledge and all of the facts, just becoming the person that like a better person, like you were saying, constantly growing. I think when you get to a point where you feel like you don't have to grow anymore, that's where you're messing up. You constantly have to be growing and be better and better to attract better things. Yeah. So at least if you're just the person that you need to be, whether it's like self-improvement, reading books, turning off the radio in the car and just turning on like self-improvement, audios.
Yeah. I hate reading.
That's why I listen to them in the car.
Audiobook.
Audio. That's what I meant.
haven't
Audio
downloaded.
books. Just constantly investing in your
And speaking of books, one of the principal books that I was taught in high school and really didn't understand until about the pandemic, because I had time to sit and think like, oh, okay, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, right?
Oh yeah.
We
Yeah.
all know that book.
We all know that book, but that book, for those who may not know, is a book about the way you think about things. So if you think that you can't get something, you won't. If you think that instead of saying, oh, well, I guess I'll never be able to afford that, you won't be able to. If you got to look at it like, well, how? How is the question that builds?
Okay. Well, we're going to build on that conversation a little bit more when we come back and have a conversation with Dr. Rose Moten of Life in Full Bloom. We'll be right back.
Hey, has this been your podcast studio experience? Has the location been less than favorable?
No, I can't do this.
Come to EVRY Media, where quality matters, located in Royal Oak, Michigan. Visit every.media.
Welcome back.
Good morning, ladies. Today is EVRY Woman Wednesday, and we are downtown at the Bloom Transformation Center with one of our special guests. She is a licensed clinical psychologist, a published author. She's been on the OWN Network. She's been on Fox 2 News. She's been in the Michigan Chronicle. Listen, you name it, she's probably been on it, okay? So I want you all to give a warm welcome to Dr. Rose Moten. For those who don't know about what you do here, can you give us a brief description of what goes on at Bloom Transformation?
Well, as you mentioned in the introduction, I am a licensed clinical psychologist by trade. I've been, this is my 25th year. And 5 years ago, it'll be 5 years this summer, I decided to move my practice, my traditional practice, back here downtown Rivertown, Detroit, city I was born and raised in, but I also decided to incorporate a lot of holistic practices that are not very well known to many people, but are proven to be so effective in helping people obtain optimal mental and emotional wellness. So sound healing is one of our most popular offerings. We actually have a class coming up, and we also do brain training. And then we do TRE, trauma release exercises. So I'm really geared toward helping individuals, again, regulate their emotional system, rid themselves of trauma so they can live their best lives.
And because that's important.
That's extremely important.
So the licensing part is very important, right? And I know that with you being a psychologist, that's you have to be licensed, right?
Words, all of that.
You also do life coaching.
Yeah, I do life coaching. I call it life transformation.
Okay.
So I do life coaching. I kind of started incorporating that title more so when we were at a time where people had more of a stigma toward therapy.
Okay.
Sometimes people felt better. They said, I had a life coach. That has really changed a lot.
Right.
You know, if I'm out in public, I see a patient, I don't say anything, just ethically, we're not supposed to, but usually they're coming up to me. It's my therapist. And they're sharing, who's ever around,
Right,
they're sharing.
exactly.
So I'm happy to see so many people have really shed that stigma and that taboo.
So now with the licensing part, do you have to actually be licensed to be a life coach?
I'm glad you asked that question. So this is one of my most soapbox testimony. There's no such thing as a license and life coach. There's no such thing as regulation for life coaches.
Okay.
Certification. People can go and get certified at a 2-hour class, a weekend class. You can decide next week that you wanted to open up or start a life coaching certification, and you will do it, and nobody would regulate it. So I'd like to say that because oftentimes the general public does not recognize many individuals who are out here promoting themselves as life coaches don't necessarily have the wherewithal. It's not a regulated certification. It's just individuals who decide, hey, we're going to, I want to be a life coach. So you got to be careful. Now, it's not to say there are excellent, I consider Jay Shetty, I consider, many people to kind of just be in that realm, but you want to do your research and you want to vet the person if you decide to get a life coach.
Okay. Because, yeah, we don't want no shady people.
No, not at all. Look, because they can be a detriment. to the
Absolutely.
individual.
How about y'all just call Dr. Rose? How about that? Okay, we just gonna leave it there. We gonna call Dr. Rose, and that's where we gonna leave it at, okay? So now, with the life coaching, Beyonce, right, is she's at the top of her chain, but consistently still receives vocal coaching. So with someone who's at the top of their field, successfully at the top of their field, is there a such thing as them also receiving consistent life coaching for them to continue to remain that way?
Yeah, it's a few things. Continuing education, you know, like I said, the sound healing was something. 5 years ago, I had no idea. I had never experienced it, but once I experienced it, saw it was beneficial for me. I went and got the training in that, the training in theory. I'm always training myself in new methods, techniques, and tools that can be beneficial to my clientele. But I've also always surrounded myself around people that I feel exemplify, you know, my whole brand of just, you know, mental and emotional wellness and transformation. And these are key people I can call on, or individuals who I follow, even on YouTube or what have you, that have very good programming that helps to just keep me sharp and educated. I think everyone, we should never, even if you are, like you said, Beyonce is at the top of that chain.
Yeah.
But she still recognizes the importance of keeping herself sharp in her skills. And I think we all, regardless of what field you're in, should do the same.
With that, though, in life, we see people all the time who are unhappy, unstable, but financially, they are extremely successful. So it's safe to say that money doesn't buy happiness, right? But is it also safe to say that mental dependency ties into that? So how much of that really ties into success?
Your definition of success may not be another person's definition of success. So you did make that distinction. You said people who are financially successful. You know, financial abundance does not equate to necessarily success overall.
Absolutely.
So we have to look at and say, what is your definition of success? What do you consider to be successful? Because I always say, even if a person has all the money in the world, we see it with athletes all the time, right? I say money just exponentially expands whatever emotional state you're in. So if you are depressed, if you are anxious, if you are somebody who, you know, basically, can we cuss on this show?
Yes, you can.
You don't have your shit together, right? You get this money and you just gonna be more of a person, though.
Absolutely.
It's not, people falsely believe that financial abundance is going to take care of their happiness, and that's not the case at all. You know, success is subjective. And what's so important is first of all, sitting with yourself and deciding what is success to you. Success for me is really just being authentically myself, happy, you know, doing the stuff that I love, because what I do know is that's going to bring in more of what I desire in my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you see millionaires, billionaires, or what have you, who jumping off of a building, or, you know, and people say, how did that happen? We're seeing it more and more. They get everything.
Yeah.
That's not success. That's not success at all.
Do you think that that ties into your belief system?
It actually does, you know, because again, as I said, I had to, within myself, make a determination of what I believe is successful for me. And success, again, successful for me. I can remember, let me just give you a story. I can remember even going back to, I was very young when I was able to kind of get my first home in the suburbs, you know, with my, you know, kids, my husband at the time. And people were just, you know, get 26 and you got this big house and you're, you know, all of that stuff. And I remember a conversation with someone, and it just came from the spirit, and saying, you know, if I lost all of this today, I would still be okay. And for me to tell myself that and to believe that was so very important. Not that I wanted to lose any of it, but I wanted to know that success for me did not reside outside of me. It was not tied to tangible items. And that was what was so necessary for me to go in my journey. Because otherwise, I'd stay in people, places, and situations I probably shouldn't stay in, because I'm like, if I leave this, then I'm going to lose this, you know? So, my belief system played a huge role in that.
It's safe to say that is healthy for people, right? To have that type of belief system.
Yeah, you have to. And I think this probably, you have to know, yourself.
Yes.
That's the most important thing that you should do for success. Yes.
And with that definition, right? Because everybody's definition is different as far as belief is concerned. Should that be normalized for people, like in their relationships, with their mental health, or even with self-care? Like, should they normalize having that belief system?
Oh, you should normalize whatever. That should be just your barometer as you navigate this world, what your belief system is. I developed part of my second book, and the whole system I have here is called Bloom 7 Steps of Personal Transformation. Yes. And so it's 7 steps that I believe helps a person to transform their lives, helps them to achieve success and maintain success. But the first step in that is rediscovering you, which is all about really understanding who you are. Because again, most people, I actually did a TEDx on this, most people do not understand who they are. They know who they've been told to be. They know those careers that their parents said you should go after. And then they find themselves with everything we were told that if we had, we'd be happy. You got the house, got the car, they had a relationship, you get a vacation, and you're still miserable.
Yeah.
And that misery is because there's been a lack of connection with self. You may not, the number of clients that I've counseled or I coached over the years who are in careers that they, not saying very successful. They're making the 6+ figures and they got the house and all that, but they're miserable because they never wanted to become an engineer. They wanted to be an artist, but their parents said, no, that doesn't make any money. You heard me say before we started, I have a daughter at art school. I was very intentional. Whatever my kids' passions and desires were, that's where I really, push them to me, as they are happy. Because success for me is someone who can really understand self and be, because if you navigate the world as yourself, you're going to have that happiness.
Absolutely. I believe that. And you talked about steps in your book, right? So we all should have steps in order to reach success in our lives. Where would you say manifestation falls into that?
So manifestation, is, so when you talk about steps, I also look at it as a toolbox. We should all have, it can be literal, like an actual toolbox. You have a cute little chest and they have it. You love books, your favorite books in, but you should have a toolbox, a literal and a figurative toolbox that you can always reference, right? That is what helps to keep you around. It helps to allow you to attract and manifest the things that you want. Manifestation is one of those words that we see people use all the time, but people truly know what it means. Because when most people say manifestation, they're thinking about wanting to manifest all the good stuff. Right. But they don't realize you're manifesting a lot of the bad stuff that's happening in your life.
That's true.
And you're clueless about it. Had a patient many years ago, this was early on in my practice. He was a white male and he was seeing me and he was really just very anxious and overwhelmed because he wasn't performing well at work.
Okay.
He was afraid he was going to lose his job and, he wasn't stepping up at home. And it was just like a lot of different things going on. I gave him the simple assignment of, I want you to start just affirming as if it has already happened, the stuff that you want. I am successful. I am, performing, well at my job. All of that stuff. That was his assignment. He came back the next week. I said, so how did it go? Did you do it? That's good. I can't do that. Like, I don't want it. And you probably, I don't know what age you are, but I remember Saturday Night Live like that Stuart Smalley sketch where he was stand in the mirror and do those affirmations. And he's just like, that's just too silly. I just can't sit up and do affirmations. I said, you do them every day. He said, no, I don't. I said, whenever you come to session, I am so tired. I am going to get fired. I am going to everything here. And so he was manifesting everything that was happening in his life unknowingly. Because again, he didn't understand that works both ways. Manifestation is not just, okay, I'm going to manifest $1 million in my bank account. Manifestation is, what's your attitude? What's your language? Because whatever you put out is like a boomerang. It's going to come back to you.
Absolutely. Do you think that also ties into people's spirituality as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another construct that people may not necessarily understand what spirituality is. My dissertation was actually on the effects of emergent spirituality in addiction recovery. And one of the things I had to do to even prepare for that is to decipher the people that I was going to study who understood spirituality as opposed to religion. Because oftentimes people, they know religion.
Right.
But religion has nothing to do with spirituality. And that's a whole nother show.
In all of that, right, we all set goals for ourselves. Do you think that it's okay, or should we be a little unrealistic when setting goals?
I think you should go beyond that, right? Because if we just, you see, I have vision boards up in my window, and I had vision boards with a picture of Oprah long before I, met Oprah. I had vision boards of getting my kids into a school I couldn't afford at the time, long before they were able to get scholarships to go to that school, And I didn't look at that school and say, 30, 40,000 a year. Oh, no way. Let me look at a different school. That's unrealistic. I looked at it and said, I know how it would feel and what it would do for my children to be there. This is what I desire. Time and time again, those are just two examples. It happens again and again. So you should be, if you want to use that word unrealistic, that's fine, but you should go far beyond what you think you're capable of now in setting your goals.
Did you have different goals prior to the ones that you have reached now?
My first major, believe it or not, was journalism. I was going to be one of those people. I was going to be just a writer, a journalist, a broadcaster.
Yeah, I was a journalism major.
Unexpected pregnancy in undergrad, decided to switch and make my minor, which was psychology, my major, and, broadcasting journalism, the minor. So that is my goal. But it's interesting because my life since then, without even me necessarily going after it, I've been on so much TV. I've been on so, national platforms, local platforms. So I would have to say my life looks nothing like I thought it would look. And I want to say that because I think people trip themselves up when it doesn't look like they thought it would look.
Yeah.
My life feels exactly how I hoped it would feel. That's what's most.
That's key.
That's key.
That is very key.
Feels, yeah.
How did it feel when you reached that goal of actually being? Now, were you actually on the Oprah show?
She picked me out of 300 people. Asked me a question, and there was a little debate. Some people said, "Did you go? Did you disagree with Oprah?" But it wasn't disagreeing. It was me, just sharing that. She asked me the question. It was during the time Michael Jackson died.
Okay.
And she said to all of us the night before to watch the movie, This Is It. And she says, didn't it make you sad, watching that movie? And I said, no. And then she's like, it didn't make you sad? I was like, no, this man transcended. He's going to live forever. And then when I'm saying that, she's not very in agreement. And then that's when the audience got back on my side. Because at first it was just like, it's like,
wait a minute, we don't know about her.
Yeah. So it's just so very important for you. And again, like I said, that was something I manifested through my own just belief systems and the things that I felt could help make that. If it's meant for me, it's going to happen if you follow these steps and these tools.
Absolutely. Do you have new goals now that you're trying to reach?
Always having new goals. See, but I'm easy on myself. The older I get, it's my 51 year now. So the older I get, the more I give myself grace, because I don't want to stress myself out, trying to, again, it's all about more so how am I feeling at this point about where I am in my life as opposed to what does it look like.
Absolutely. How can people get a hold of you to get their life in bloom?
To get their life in bloom.
Yes.
So I can be reached, Dr. Rose Moten, Dr. like the flower. That's where bloom comes from. Moten is Moten. So I have a website, Dr. Rose Moten, no spaces, no periods.com. You can reach me there. All my social media information is there. I have a YouTube channel you can follow me on, subscribe on. I'm going to start my new podcast coming back up. I'm I guess, relaunch it because it was something that was very successful years ago, but I kind of took a hiatus and it's just time to come back, and I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I'm looking forward to be able to watch your podcast. And it was so very nice to sit down and have a chat with you
Likewise.
about everything that you have going on.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us on the Every Woman Show.
An amazing conversation that was with Dr. Rose Moten, and I really thoroughly enjoyed some of the things that she had to say there. Now we are joined by an affirmation artist. I think that's self-titled. I don't know, but let's get into this conversation with Miss Toni Jones.
Yes. Toni Jones.
How are you? Welcome.
Well,
Welcome
thank
to the
you
Every
for
Woman
having
Show.
me.
We are so glad that you are here, and we want to learn more about you and the affirmation artist. I was scrolling through your page, and I think I heard in one of your
The
stories,
Instagram or the website?
the Instagram, and I listened into one of your stories, and you said that it's a self-title, like you made that up. Tell us more
made
about
that
that.
up. Well, I literally was in prayer meditation. I was a life coach. I was in prayer meditation. I was just like, God, you got to give me a new idea, something new to help the women that I coach, because my coaching business was helping women heal from workaholism. And so literally, I don't know.
That
the
was
time-
another term I was like, ooh, that's a good one.
Right. And so I don't know what the time frame was, but I knew the answer was quick. And the answer was affirmation music. I was like, ooh, affirmation music. So I Googled it, and it wasn't coined. No one said, it was nothing online. I was like, somebody has had to do this. I didn't find anyone. I was like, wait a minute, I get to do this? And so the rest is history.
That's amazing, because you know how we always say that what's for you is for you.
Yeah.
And when you meditate and listen and tune in to what God has to say for you, and you are locked in and you get it like that, that's a great example. So your voice, I'm totally soothed just from the first couple of seconds that you were talking. But tell us more about affirmation music and affirmation artistry.
So affirmation music, it helps people talk to themselves better, because we have a really reckless self-talk, you know? And so every relationship, if you want a healthy relationship, like in business, spouses, friends, family, the core requirement is healthy communication. So now we're in this era of mental health,
Yes.
self-love, and self-care, and I love myself.
Absolutely.
But how you talking to yourself? You know what I'm saying? It's like we do all the, you know, the trendy self-care practices. But when it comes to how we talk to ourselves about our money, about the country, about our loved ones, about anything, it can be really off-putting to our whole well-being.
Yeah.
And so affirmation music helps people to tap right into that vibration of thought, vibration of emotion, to feel better about themselves, to think better about themselves. And then my background is neuroscience and psychology, so I'm a really like human behavior nerd. So
Summa cum laude.
Yeah, okay, yes, yes.
Okay.
And so music has a medicinal legacy, and the legacy was people used music to heal themselves. And then over the years, as society became more modern, music was known for entertainment only. But I think we're circling back to the real purpose of music. Not to say that we're not here to enjoy or be entertained by music, but it has a purpose that actually helps our well-being. So I like to think as affirmation music as a mental health tool to help people tap more into that healing mindset about themselves.
That's beautiful. But beyond the music aspect and your voice, I just keep smelling lemongrass. And this just got me kind of zoned. Like, is that a part of it? Like, just,
She has come in here and totally soothed us all, right? Yeah.
like, how can I smell like lemongrass?
Yeah.
Like, what I
Yeah,
got to do? That's
yeah.
awesome. Beautiful.
It's an essential oil. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
that's just what I wear. And the reason why I wear it is because perfumes mess with our hormonal imbalances. And so we be so surprised and disgusted how much stuff that we use that throws off our hormonal balance. So, and essential oils can do that too, but it's about how you balance it with other oils and how you use it. And so I use lemongrass, I use lavender and cedar wood and stuff for perfume purposes. You know how us ladies like, we like to smell good.
Yeah.
What
So-
carrier oil do you use with the oils for your perfume?
Jojoba oil,
Oh, nice.
you know,
So it's moisturizing too.
it's moisture. Exactly.
What's a carrier oil?
Well,
It's to balance. It's to
Yeah.
balance that, because if you put on
directly
lemongrass,
onto your skin.
I did it and learned the hard way.
Ouch.
Okay,
It
burnt
burns?
your skin
Yeah.
up.
none
Okay,
of these-
lavender, all of them. If you use it with its potency, just as is. But sometimes I'll use it, but I'll put it on my clothes. I won't put it on my
Gotcha.
skin.
I love a little frankincense myself.
Come on
I
now,
want to smell like
yeah.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Very wise.
So, affirmations for the grown ass woman.
Yes.
This is one of your projects. How did you come up with that title for the project? What was the inspiration?
Girl, the inspiration was I grew up in the church and being surrounded by women that I did not look up to was something that I guess inspired me to see, like, what does it look like for me to be the woman that I look up to? Like, what does she do? So I looked at all the women in the church and I'm just like, I can't do what they doing. You know, so let me figure out. I went on my own path. And so growth was one of the key things. It was like, they not growing. You know, not in a judgmental way, but it's just like, you're not kind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You
I
know how
do.
to talk to people. You know, your religion matters more than your character. And so for me, it was just like, when I started getting into psychology and human behavior and mindset and getting exposed to the women that were about that life, I was like, oh, it's growth, you know? And so when I got the idea for affirmation music, I went to LA for a month and I just brought all my journals, all my notes from books, retreats, spiritual workshops I've been a part of, all type of stuff just over the years. And I never like thought of those writings or anything making like a value because it was personal, right?
You did it for yourself.
Just for myself.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it as something of value. So I took all that stuff with me to LA for a month and I wrote 9 songs to represent the 9 months it takes a woman to grow a human being, because I wanted women, I kind of wanted to, like, I wanted women to, as soon as they push play, they go to a place of no return, like they're immediately growing by listening to this album. And so that was kind of like the brainchild behind that album, was like, these 9 songs are going to grow women instantly. And, you know, before I know it, that is exactly what happened.
Growth has been a consistent theme and topic through our conversation today. We talked about it a little bit earlier, as well as that self-talk, that positive self-talk, those positive affirmations, as we just all saw in our previous interview, just speaking those positive things into your life. Do you actually sing? Or are you?
Yes. No, no. I mean, I started taking vocal lessons, and I've, growing up in the church, you learn a little something, you know. And I grew up at the Winers Church, so you gonna learn a little more something. That's right. And so I carry a tune, but I started vocal lessons because I'm like, oh, I'm really doing this now, because I was a life coach. And I was working as a dream director full-time in Detroit public high schools and part-time as a life coach for women. So I never saw myself being a musician or artist, being in music. That was never on my vision board ever. And so the fact that I started, I closed down my coaching business in 2020 and started to pursue this full-time was like so uncomfortable, so new for me. So I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right.
Yep.
So I started vocal lessons to I'm still discovering my voice right now. So it's very new, and it's not uncomfortable as it was when I first started. But now it feels like home.
Yeah.
It's as new as it is for me. It feels like, man, this is what I was always supposed to do.
Okay. Wow. And you also have projects where you're just speaking as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
So I don't know how, when I first started the album, Affirmations for the Grown Ass Woman, I got in the studio and I just started riding the beat. And I was like, how do I know how to do this? And it felt like fun. I didn't experience self-doubt. It was just like, this feels like home.
Well, that's because God told you what to do.
Yeah.
It was already there. You just had to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, I had to do it. And again, it was one of those, like I tell people all the time, it was the first thing I've ever done without doubt. So I knew like, this is something I have to pursue. I got something. And so yeah.
Can you explain what riding the beat is?
Riding the beat is like, so if you like have something, like you find a melody, you find a groove, because when you're doing, it's very easy to get into that spoken word vibe, and that's not me. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that type of dialect, I guess, if that's the right word. So riding the beat is finding the melody, finding that pocket to make it sound like a vibe. It's like you're matching the music with the tone of your voice, the expression of your voice. It's very like how they do musicals. When they do musicals, they're singing the actual narrative instead of talking the narrative, but I'm talking the narrative with a hint of musical skill of how to like make the voice go with the beat. It's not me just talking. Yeah, I'm not just saying, I am powerful.
Right.
I
got
am
it.
magnificent. It is, I am powerful. I am magnificent. I'm just finding that groove. Look, she was like, hey.
I think we all started bobbing our head just a little bit.
You heard the beat kind of the way that I was saying it.
So, okay, I know that earlier Dr. Rose was speaking to this idea of success not being about like a tangible aspect of the things that you can get, but based on like, and this really hit me. It was like one of those moments. It's like, wow, I have an idea of how I want to feel. And that's really interesting to me. And I know sometimes those aspects can get kind of intertwined in messaging when it relates to religion. And how do you find, yourself approaching those topics with people who are like standoffish about just being more in touch with your feelings and based on or
being more
just,
conscious.
Yeah, like on a even on a metaphysical level. I know you mentioned the herbal essences, the
essential oils.
Thank you, the essential oils. My goodness,
That sounds like a
Or
brand.
right? It was.
It is.
Okay.
It was Lori. Anyway, so I've noticed, I've observed that highly religious people get really offended, if not off-put, by these kind of conversations. Do you run into that? And if you do, how do you handle it?
I have run into it, and I really don't have issue with it because I always give them what they know. I speak the word to them. I'm like, the Bible says, work out your own salvation. The renewing of your mind. Be not conformed to this world, but be renewed by the renewing of your mind. The tongue is power, life, and death. Just using the word like, yo, I'm feeding you what you own. So I'm not doing anything like you can find a scripture for everything I'm talking about.
That's
Yeah.
For everything that I practice, you can find a scripture. The body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. What does that mean? On a practical, scientific, neurological level, if your body is the temple, a lot of in the religious community, from what I've learned, is that we like to pick and choose what is, holy, what is unholy, what's evil, and we like to pick and choose. But the body is a temple for the holiest thing, your own energy, your own soul, and your whole spirit. How are you treating that? What are you saying to yourself in your mind? What are you feeding it? How are you treating it? How much care do you devote to this temple? So I always just spit what they believe in right back to them, and they just be like, So I never have any issues. There's not really, the only type of debates I get people who don't want to listen.
Yeah.
People who don't, they just want to disagree. They want to argue, and and usually I just don't participate. I'm like, you know what? Eat from the fruit of what you believe, and I'll eat from the fruit of what I believe, and see how it bears fruit.
How it bears.
You don't
like
get too
that.
much into spirituality though, right? You kind of keep it like affirmations, the music, do you go into like
Oh yeah,
preachy, teachy, or you do
I
into
go
the
in
songs?
there. Yeah,
not
I
the
mean,
song, but what is it?
I have a song called Sanctuary in
Okay.
there. I have another song called Healing Is Not My Purpose. I have another song called Birthmark, and I go into
Like
my
spiritual
relationship
things.
with spirituality and with
Okay.
my spirit and with the Most High. So I do go into that, but it's not like I'm gonna try and throw some spiritual sauce in it and go deep. It's not that. I'm really sharing how I talk to myself with other people. I'm not trying to preach to nobody. I'm like, this is how I'm learning how to talk to myself, and I'm sharing it with y'all.
Right.
Because we could definitely take a lesson and put it into practice, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's with most things that are creative. You know, when you're a creative person and you are living your purpose and doing what makes you feel good or what you feel you need to say that's helpful to you, and you pass that on to other people, people feed from that. And if it's good, non-toxic, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to putting that toxicity out there. Wasn't that a word that Toy couldn't say the other day? Toxicity.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna, and so like with the affirmations, is this one of those things to where people should be repeating it or more just like listening to it?
They can
You know?
do both. They can do both. I have some songs on there that have more of the traditional song structure where there's a chorus, there's a hook, but then I have some songs where I'm like, Energy Budget is like my number 2 song, and it's been staying my number 2 song, but I'm just talking the whole time over the beat. There's no hook on there. I'm just talking on the whole. I have another song called Versus Lonely where I'm talking on the beat. There's no hook. So it depends. I do have some songs like I think is I Forgive, and it's a forgiveness mantra where you repeat it, and I'm telling you, if you're by yourself and you play that over and over again, it is going to hit parts of you didn't even know that were there. You're going to feel very vulnerable, and you're going to feel forgiveness seep into those areas that you didn't know you had unforgiveness in, So it's a flirtation between mantras and some things you can bop to and repeat, but I do have some songs where it's just you're saying maybe one sentence over and over again.
Okay, because I know that's a big thing where everybody's doing the affirmations and they're looking for different affirmations. If they don't have one, they trying to find something that they can say, even if it's to themselves in the mirror.
Yeah, Sierra got a new song called "The Girls" or something like that, and it's like a anthem for women empowerment. And there's the rapper Lady London, and she opens up the song with a whole dope affirmation. So affirmation music is definitely flooding the industry right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say Londrell,
the homie,
Eternal
yep.
Sunshine. I got a little tingle. I love me some Londrell, and his app is amazing. And so everything you're talking about right now, I'm like, I got to find out about what she do. Janae Aiko does a lot of this kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing, but it's also, again, it's like one of those things. I was speaking to a specialist before about some spiritual stuff and saying how that spiritual area is like a dirty basement, and you know the door is there, but you can either go down there, mess around, and fix stuff, or not. Everybody has a different use for their basement if you have one.
Right.
And for people who might not be in Michigan and don't know about a basement, but or one of those dark rooms. You go in there and you do the work and it's organized and you store things and some stuff you forgot about.
Yeah, it's and I like to tell people who are not hip to like spiritual lingo to understand it as just inner work.
Yeah.
Just inner work. Work on your mindset, work on how you talk to yourself, work on your emotional well-being, and search out the information to update how you treat yourself in your inner world,
But what does that look like in real life? This sounds real flowery and beautiful and you smell nice. But where is the tangible like meat and potatoes of this? Like what can you tell us about this kind of work that you have seen be effective?
You know what? I really can give a long-winded answer because I'm very passionate about being raw with how I respond to giving recipes and solution. And I just wanted to be on record. I don't know shiznick. I know enough to know I don't know anything.
Okay.
But what I do know is I know what has worked for me. And I think the key thing is, practically speaking, Be honest with how you feel about yourself. Be honest with when you look at your life on the table and say, do I like what is right now? Can I love it? And if I don't feel like I can love it, what can I love about it? So really take inventory and an honest assessment of what it is. And then I like to say, seek out the information. Seek out the information. Be honest with yourself. Seek out the information. You know you bad with money. You don't have a healthy relationship with money. Okay, what resources are out there? Google that. Go on a hashtag on Insta. The information is out here. The third thing that I like to offer people is the third and fourth. The third one is quiet time with yourself. How still can you be with your own company? Like, how comfortable are you with silence? You know? And then the last thing I tell people is have fun. Play. Remember what you liked to do when you were a child. So I can give a lot of well-being tips and conscious spiritual tips. And yeah, that's cool and it works, but I've been in crisis. I've dealt with suicidal ideation. I've dealt with mental health crisis. And I'm still walking this thing out, figuring this thing out in this country. You know, in a capitalistic society, I'm still figuring this thing out. But one thing I know is when I'm quiet, when I'm honest, when I'm playing and having fun, I'm activating that alignment with my well-being. You know, when I don't feel like doing all the self-care, self-love, spiritual, deep stuff. Because when you struggling, I don't want to journal. You know, I don't want to do all that stuff. I want to feel better.
It does. I'm a journaler, and I have probably 15, 20 different journals, and not have I finished ever one.
Yeah.
Y'all like the way I put that sentence together? Not have I ever finished
Not
one.
have I ever.
But Toni, tell us where can we find your affirmation projects? Where can we follow you? How can people get in touch with you and hear some of your content?
Yeah, I am ToniJones.com. You can find everything on there. I have a membership community called The Living Room where we self-talk together, learning about empathetic listening, you know, healthy, vulnerable communication. And then Instagram, I am Toni Jones. And then all my music is on all streaming platforms. The only album that's not on all streaming platforms is the Mental Health Mixtape, which is on YouTube because it's a mixtape. I'm using other people's beats. So yeah, that's where people can follow me and
that's
get
Toni,
closer to the message.
T-O-N-I.
Yep, that's Toni with an I. Yeah.
Jones, J-O-N-E-S.
Toni Jones, yes.
All right. Well, Toni Jones, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us here
you.
and
I
bringing
appreciate
love
it.
and light and peace and lemongrass, beautiful essences to the Every Woman
Heart realness.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We appreciate you joining us today. Go and follow Toni Jones, ToniJones. That's about right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Follow Toni Jones on all her platforms. Download her music, her affirmations. Go get your healthy mindset right. And continue to follow us here on the Every Woman Show. I think that's a wrap, y'all. We done for the day?
Yeah.
Are we done for the day? All right. Well, tune in next week. We'll be back next Wednesday, 12 o'clock. Until then, we'll see y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Come on, hit me with it, Sabrina.
We are every woman.